Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the POMcast. I am your host, Stephen Willis, and thank you so much for joining us on this reaction day to Ole Miss's 80-59 victory over 10th ranked Missouri. Yes, you heard that correct. After 2 years of not beating a ranked opponent, they beat number 10 and number 11 in the span of about a week, a span of 3 games, and in the process netted themselves, seriously, the 3 quad 1 victories in the net. So they actually netted themselves. So I'm fairly proud of that. So welcome to the POMcast. We're going to go over all the stuff. We'll have Kermit Davis here in a second with highlights of his post game. We're going to talk about what this game means. We're going to talk about how this can proceed and make it to the NCAA tournament, because this team can win all of their games to the end of the year. Not saying that they will, saying that they can. They are over 50% in probability for 4 of them. The only one they're below is Mizzou, and they just beat them by 21. So when it comes to a matchup problem, they definitely are a matchup problem for Mizzou. Mizzou ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw. They weren't allowed to get out and run. They were forced to play half-court offense. They looked out of sorts at times, but that's just the way it goes. Anyway, you can follow us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis. Hit us up on Facebook at POMcast, or Facebook.com/POMcast. On YouTube, we are Positively Ole Miss. Hit the bell for notifications. You'll always know when we're streaming, and we want you to always know when we're streaming. And if you do Twitch and all that, you can follow us at Positively Ole Miss, all one word. We tell you those platforms because you can watch them on your smart TVs. You're not stuck with a telephone. You can actually watch them on your television. We're probably going to do a video in the future about how you can do that for each of the services. So those are the ways you can watch the show. On audio, we are on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Pandora. We're also on several smaller podcatchers, but if we went to list them all, we would melt. You know how it is. But also, the last few days, I've been a little sporadic about uploading that. The best way to follow the podcast is the video version. Either Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Once you get on the YouTube channel, several things there, like 2020 games on demand are there. Some greatest games are there. Whenever there's a press conference, it's going to show up there. This is outside of me. This is not even my stuff. This is just stuff that I've aggregated into that, into a playlist. So search that channel, subscribe, and you can see all kinds of stuff in there beyond the POMcast. Now, eventually, we're going to bring around the SEC. I have a recording with Corey, and we're going to practice doing another boot camp segment. Doesn't really matter Ole Miss, but it's just going to be on offense, I think. Just so we can talk and practice and do the back and forth with the new setup that I have, and to bring that in. And eventually the 3-person around the SEC will be in. And also we're thinking of doing virtual watch parties and things like that. So, yeah, Chris is actually, keeps bringing that up, the virtual watch party thing. So I think he really wants to try to do that. So we're looking for like two new fans to be on the broadcast as well, because I don't want it two people having to carry all that conversation. It's going to get stale. It's going to get boring. It'd be much better if it was 4 people or so. So that's kind of the plan for that. Now, like we said, Ole Miss 80, Mizzou 59. I've got my handy dandy notebook right here. And Jarkel Joyner, 21 points. Luis Rodriguez, 15 points. Devontae Shuler, 15 points. KJ Buffin, 9 points. He was a missed free throw or 2 maybe away from hitting that 10-point plateau that we kind of called yesterday. What you saw is a team that had shots go in. They actually just played like a fully functioning basketball team, and they weren't pressing so much. So with a little confidence, it's amazing how much better they've gotten after they, I'm not going to say squeaked by Tennessee, but you know what I mean. Then with Auburn hitting the shot and everything, they just oozed confidence. And because of that, they loosened up and shots began to fall. It's really amazing. Basketball is one of those sports, or sports in general, basically. If you press hard and you get desperate, you're not going to perform as well. And in such a precision game as basketball, where there's a little hoop, if you press, it's going to affect your three-point shots. You really have to loosen up. And you saw a team that was kind of getting loose. Now, Mr. 1990s basketball all-star Jarkel Joyner with the sweet mid-range game scored 21. He was our player of the game. But you can see, you could just see them getting loose and running offense and playing their game and doing everything. This looks like a different team than even the team 3 weeks ago. And now, because of the last 3 games, the narrative has changed. This was a disaster season up until then, and then they beat Tennessee, and then they beat Auburn with a shot at the end, and then they just routed Mizzou, and now they're in position. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do that, but they're in position where they can win out. That's 5 games. That's South Carolina, that's Vandy, that's Mississippi State, that's Kentucky, and that's Missouri. 5 games. And if you went out on those games, you're in position to easily make an NCAA tournament where the SEC is so stacked. They're 11-8 now. Those 5 wins, that would make them 16-8. That's a lock for the NCAA tournament. That's before the SEC tournaments even played. 16-8. If you win twice as much as you lose, you're in. If you lose a game, I think you're in. 15-9, I think you're in. So if you lose that Missouri game on the road and win the rest, you're pretty fine. Below that, you're probably looking at a play-in type situation. But you have a chance with all this positive pub and all of this momentum going forward to really make a little noise at the end of this year. They're getting hot at the right time. They got loose at the right time. Now, COVID blew this team up the first of the year. You lose all that practice time, and everybody's in a more advanced position than you are. Now, with anything, after practice, there's a little bit of a law of diminishing returns. That's what we're saying. Look out for the defense and, everything about week 6 or week 7 when it came to football, because you catch up eventually. You get to where you need to be. And you're kind of clicking on all cylinders. The basketball team, the COVID situation just kind of ate them up. And they came in a little bit behind the 8 ball, and they were pressing a little bit. And that went back to bite them. I mean, you have a team like this and with a bunch of newcomers, like it was designed to where it was Devontae Shuler and a bunch of newcomers. Now, I know Jarkel Joyner was here last year, but Luis Rodriguez was hurt for most of the year. KJ Buffin is now a six-man. Romello White was not here. The kid from Samford, I can't remember his name, Robert Allen, was not here. But so you had a bunch of moving pieces that had to be fit together. And you lose COVID. Like, first Kermit got it in early to mid-November, and then they had to shut down the program to where they didn't come back to like December 11th. They were like the last college basketball team to start. That affected the gelling. All that, like that camp environment was gone, even in the COVID year. And that can't be overstated. There wasn't a situation where Kermit was in any position of losing the team or something was going on. The normal narrative stuff that people look at that don't want to assign blame to COVID because they don't want COVID to be really a thing. But it is really a thing. And Ole Miss starting so late in that break really hurt them. And when they came back, they were pressing. And then they won a couple of games against Cupcakes, and then it got a little tougher, and then Alabama rolled them. And Ole Miss was trying to shoot threes, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. So Kermit is going to work with, how do we fix this? And the way he fixed this was to get back to basics. They started playing slower. They started playing two ball. Really, solid fundamental basketball around the basket using Romello White and the two guards. And that's what they gradually build. And eventually they beat Tennessee. And that gave them a little bit of confidence. And then all of a sudden they scored 84 at Auburn. But we were like, well, Auburn is kind of defensively challenged to begin with. Is this a real thing, or, what's going on here? And then it happened again against Missouri in a complete rout. The defense was there. It was a complete game by the basketball team. Now, the first 7 or so minutes, 7 to 10 minutes, Missouri kind of got off on a hot start and scored a bunch of points. And it was like, oh, because we told you yesterday, the magic number is to hold them below 65-ish. Because that doesn't put too much strain on the offense. So you can, you feel reasonably confident they're going to get to there. Last night just blew that out of the water because they, the 59 points, that's well within that threshold. But the offense was just there, and three balls were going in. And it just got to a point where, Missouri at a point just like, we give up because there's not a whole lot we can do here. All right. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to hear Kermit talk about the game, and we're going to break down what this means for the future and kind of the buzz and the excitement that will be generated from this.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese. We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
All right. Welcome back to the POMcast, segment 2 in the books. Or, not in the books, it's starting right here. So, as you can see below, Ole Miss 80, Missouri 59. Jarkel Joyner is the POMcast Positively Ole Miss player of the game. 21 points, 8-14 shooting, 3 rebounds, 36 minutes, 1 for 4 from behind the arc, and I mean, that's just fantastic. So, what does this mean? Well, with 3 Tier 1 wins for the net, Ole Miss should be, I believe, in the 50s at this point. So they're solidly on the bubble. So we still have some work to do, but not much. If we take care of business and win, we kind of control our own destiny, especially with a Tier 1 on the schedule. Now that's in Missouri. There's going to be an anger issue. They're going to try and perform, but if we can shut them down, that is going to provide the avenue we need. And the SEC tournament is there to provide it as well. So, yeah, also that Jarkel Joyner player of the game graphic is pretty sweet, if I say so myself. I enjoyed making that and getting it into the show, so that's fun. But South Carolina, Saturday. Now, they went through many of the same COVID stuff that Ole Miss basketball did, so there's a little bit of lateness that they are going through at the moment. But we need to get a win. Frank Martin's teams are always going to be difficult to beat. Just handle Kermit Davis and, make sure it happened, Get the win. And no matter who you play, just get the win. It doesn't matter by 1 point or 50 points. Get the win. But South Carolina, Vandy, Mississippi State, and Kentucky, get the win. Missouri, that becomes almost a play-in game for the tournament. That Tier 1 game is basically the difference between 55 and 45 because they're probably going to bounce back. They're going to win games. And in doing so, they're going to keep their ranking at a high level because, they're 13-3 coming in. Now they're 13-4. They'll probably be no worse than 13 or 15-6 or something like that. So even if they go 2-2 over the next 4. But, if you can get a win there in Missouri, there's all manner of ways forward for this team. The NCAA tournament is a legit talking point now. The narrative has been changed. It's no longer a disaster season. They have successfully played their way out. Now, we just have to figure out if the hole was too big that they dug for themselves to completely dig out, or if they can just make it happen. But they're 6-6 in the SEC currently. They've gotten to 500, and like we told you, there's 4 games that they have an over 50% probability of winning, and 1 game, Missouri, that they just beat by 21 points. So there's a legit chance of winning out. So winning out for them would equal, I think, 16-8. 16-8, you're in the tournament. It doesn't matter. You can go to the SEC tournament and go one and done. It doesn't matter. You're in. 15-9, you're in, I think. So they have a little bit of wiggle room. Anything below that will require the SEC tournament for the path forward. And let's see. Just looking at this. Wondering if the Twitter timeline has frozen up. But if so, that's just a pattern we need to work on. Again, this is going to be a rough thing. We're going to, we want to be a fine-tuned automobile, basically, by the time April gets here, and we can have some fun. But you can see the graphics and everything. We want to do this at a high level. And, there are ways that we're going to do that. And like I said, whenever we get into this and I have more times and I'm not moonlighting, we can do supplemental videos and stories in there. Like I said, Chris wants to do a virtual watch party. And that's fine, Virtual watch parties are fine. I want like 4 fans. So if you're interested in doing something like that, let me know. I am very okay with doing it, and I in no way need to be the star. I can sit back here if there's a group of people and do a video podcast with me just running the board. I don't even need to be on camera. So if this is something you're interested in, let me know. If there's anything you're interested in that you might want to do, let me know. Because if you have the internet to push it, which most people do at this time, I have the ability to take a camera directly from your house, put it in with a built-in show, and it just looks like you're here. I'm edit it from your house. So just let me know. And there's several things that we want to do. I'm going to start doing reaction videos. Like after the game last night, there'd be a 5-10 minute period, just immediate reactions, just instant reaction through that. And we're going to build that up with Chris, and we're going to hit Darby up, and we're just going to build a network that in no way is, going to ask you for money. We're never going to ask you to go to a second location. And we can just cover things in a non-anxiety filled way. I listened to a podcast this morning. I won't say which one, but on a day after we just beat the 10th ranked basketball team in the country, they spent upwards of 35 minutes instilling fear that Jeff Levy is going to leave. And it's all the hypothetical. Now, like I said, 1 out of 4 times they're right. And if you're always saying we're going to lose, eventually we're going to lose. Because nobody wins every single time. Even Alabama gets beat from time to time. So they're going to be right some of the time. But that anxiety just filled in the clickbait to try and grab subscribers in order to milk you for money, for you to be an ATM. And it's so prevalent, and that's sickening. It's just absolutely sickening. You have the right to enjoy following Ole Miss sports. You don't need to constantly be worrying about something hypothetically happening, some of which is made up on a podcast, like the Matt Corral thing. So just be careful with news being disseminated from the weathermen. Understand their ulterior motive. They want to make money off of you. That's pretty much what they want to do. They want to make money off of you. And in doing so, they have to put out the content, to put out the opinions, to talk about hypotheticals that make you anxious and worried, to make you keep wanting to go back. You don't want to miss anything because this bad thing could happen and you're just worried sick. Don't be. Just don't worry. Follow the team. Enjoy the team. And just have fun with Ole Miss sports again. That's all this is about. 99% of what we're doing is about having fun. Chris, Darby, whoever comes on board in the next few weeks, it's all about having fun. We want the experience to be fun for the fan. That's the reason I'm not completely shutting off the idea of a virtual watch party. Because whenever I watch a game, I'm fairly quiet. I'm actually, concentrating on what's going on. I don't talk. I'm not a trash talker. Anything like that. I just watch the game and enjoy it and pace a lot. You can't pace when you're on the air. So if we have like 4 people or so, they can go back and forth, and depending on their personalities, it could be quite entertaining. Now, another thing we can and would do if we did a virtual watch party, as you've seen the Twitter stream, it's down at the bottom right now. We can build the Twitter stream to take your live comments. So you can participate. It'll be on the screen. And it turns into a virtual watch party. Because that's, fairly important. And but we're considering the virtual watch party for the program, especially as we move forward and start going. And since, I'm not sitting here asking you for money and everything like that, I'm not worried about content that will generate revenue, which some people are. So it could be a situation to where we're doing live streams for Ole Miss baseball. We're doing live streams for Ole Miss basketball. And just every time it's on, it's there. And, along with the POMcast and everything, it will provide an avenue. Now, if this is something you're interested in, both being a part of and watching, whatever, let me know. Hashtag POMcast. Just hit us up. Comment on the videos below. And just let us know. Let us know something that you would be interested in seeing. You see what we do. You see the product. I'm just really proud of this scoreboard, by the way. So that's the reason it keeps popping up. You see what we do. It's a little bit different. This is about providing access to fans. It's about covering the sport we love, the team we love, and it's about having fun. Those are the 3 things that's most important. It's not about scoops. It's not really about rumors, although there will be some. Chris did a good job the other day talking about the wet rag for pitchers so they won't lick their fingers so much. That was pretty interesting. And, stuff like that. Tomorrow, Chris will be back on for his Friday hit. He's on Wednesdays and Fridays. And Darby will come on next week, and he's on Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to start out with defensive linemen, I think. So if you want to learn about the defensive linemen that we are currently involved with in recruiting, let me know. I'm actually looking forward to hearing about them as well. And, it's going to be interesting. We're going to build graphics like you can see on the screen. We're very big on graphics and things to look at. And, basically because that takes away from my deficiencies as an on-air personality, because that's not really my strong suit. I'm just happen to be here and be able to do it. And in doing so, it just provides a great story, great place, everything for the Ole Miss fan. Because that's what this is about, the Ole Miss fan. It's not about anything else. We're not trying to get away from Ole Miss. We're trying to accentuate it and give access to people for Ole Miss. So it doesn't matter if people attach to boards necessarily that are already hardcores over to the site. We can longevity and get the 13-year-olds to come in and watch the program. That's our avenue, I think. It's not necessarily about the two boards. It's about creating access for younger people and getting them involved. And 5 years down the road is probably going to be more, but we'll see. I mean, our subscription jumped over the first week. It's going to jump up over the second week. And, we've already had several thousand views. So on all the platforms, this is going to be a really cool thing, because that's the reason we're doing all the platforms. It's about access. It's about we are where you want us to be already. We're not asking you to go to YouTube whenever you're a Twitch user. We're not asking you to go to YouTube whenever you're a Facebook user. Now, YouTube is kind of where we do extra stuff just because it has the medium to do that. But it's, it's about access. It's about the kids. It's about trying to build the fan base. It's about trying to end the paywall gap, because lagging attendance is because of the paywall. You can't see what's going on, and you can't follow what's going on because when you're 12 years old, you're not going to be interested in it, and you're not going to do it for life. There's some people that go to games and all that stuff, and that's great, but we're talking about the random sidewalk fans. So we're going to provide access. We're going to do that. And we're going to have a lot of fun. It really, really are. Anyway, we kind of shot over time a little bit. Tomorrow, Chris Thrasher, tune in for that. We'll probably talk a little bit more about the Missouri game and get into a little bit about South Carolina. I'm sure he's going to give us a baseball update along with spring practice. And next week, we're getting close. I'm really excited about Darby McCraney. Once he comes in and becomes the recruiting czar, you're going to enjoy and like hearing what he has to say. Anyway, for Positively Ole Miss and the POMcast, I'm Stephen Willis. Thank you very much for joining us. And, of course, hotty toddy.